Hey everybody, heavily requested Ren song, Money Game Part 1. It's not actually called Part 1, it's just called Part... No, it doesn't have a part name. Money Game. This is Money Game. We did Part 3, and you were like, guys, don't you know there's Part 1? And we're like, no, we didn't. But now we do. So thank you for telling us. And here it is.
Wait, let me get out my notes.
It's a strange time we're living in. War can put fear in. Hierarchy parties, they make us feel inferior. Greed runs through parliament interiors. Devils walk among us, they fit the criteria. Eerie theory, stripe fearing, weary-minded men when we're clearly living in dictatorships. Nearly blinded by illusions to choose who's fooling who. A ball chained to your shoes on pain. It's a crying
Man. So Money Game Part 3, I was amazed by his ability to put so many different relevant points into so few lines.
Yeah.
And he's doing the same thing here.
I'm not going to lie, these subtitles are throwing me way off.
The subtitles are awful, but the lines are great. I loved his line about, we're in dictatorship, you just have this illusion of the feeling to choose. And there are a lot of times when it feels like that, especially the way that the social media algorithms try their best to manipulate what choices we recognize as available.
Yeah, or, the chip aisle at the store. It's like all two brands, but there's like 40 types of chips. There are a lot of chip companies out there more than Frito-Lay. I'm just saying.
They's the biggest.
shame. The pursuit of our own wealth lights a flame that makes greed a game that lets this whole world burn. As the world turns, the whole world burns. But money was invented for trade, but now those bits of paper twist hearts, make slaves, turns a saint into a sinner, a child into a killer. His finger on the trigger of a money game. Oh, rain, 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 a storm it comes our way, and those who rise through distorted lies, poison in the veins, but we'd like to point the blame, 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 blame. It's easier to blame, but point the mirror at ourselves. We're all part of this old money game. Stop.
Oh, were you just stopping because he said stop? Okay, yeah.
Got it.
We have stopped.
We have stopped.
Yeah.
Actually, that is a funny coincidence, but I stopped because there was a break, so I felt like it was a good time to talk about what he's mentioned, how greed is kind of running the world, turning children into killers and saints into sinners. There's an element of that which is true, which is why greed is one of the 7 deadly sins, but there's also an element of how the pursuit of wealth has caused a lot of inequality to vanish. A lot of the poorest in the world have been brought up.
Actually, it hasn't caused inequality to vanish. Inequality has actually increased, but absolute poverty has decreased.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. So, we went from the richest person having $100,000 worth of stuff
From
to
this,
10 to
this.
20 billion.
There's a ton more inequality, but
the bottom has been brought up.
been brought up.
Right. Very few people are dying because of starvation.
Kings didn't have cell phones.
Kings didn't have refrigerators.
Yeah.
I have a refrigerator. Boom.
It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Also, I like what he said. Is the money was invented to help with trade, which based on money theory, yes, it was made for trading. People would just barter things, and it's well, let's have some kind of standard medium to do this with. And then it's oh, cool. If I have more of that standard medium, I can get all kinds of things.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not necessarily a bad thing in and of itself, right? Because with a lot of money, you can do a lot of good, right? You can help a lot of people. You can serve, you can love, you can care for people that need it, but you can also just try to get all the money at any cost, right? At the cost of other people. And I think that's really what he's getting at with this money game concept is putting money on a pedestal and being that is the most important thing, and none of the other things matter so much. Money, money, money. It's great. Frito-Lay. That's what I think.
president. It's evident that everyone's a resident of fear when they support these ideas to keep us separate. When they make us believe that everybody is coming to terrorize you in the streets. They say badly through gritted teeth. That's my right to hate. That's freedom of speech. But when did freedom become a reason to hate? A way to justify a racist slur or insult we make? There's an irony in freedom, cause us in the West, we have pillaged and plundered and murdered like savages, colonized all of the rest. That's called hypocrisy. Preach a certain value that you never keep yourselves. Your country was in flames, you denigrate yourselves in a second. Still you spit your venom, demonizing immigrants when really you're the immigrant. Cause all of us are immigrants or descended from immigrants. Irony is imminent, I'll shed the light on immigrants. America was colonized by Britain. Britain, it was colonized by Rome, and also colonized by the Saxons. They were German, by the way. You know how people throw shade upon the Germans because of history's pain, and yet we made the same mistakes all again. Demonize a whole people, Jewish or Muslim, the same and the same. Old situations play on repeat, the same old TV shows repeat. Yeah, we worship the bleak, our opinions aren't our own, and we follow like sheep. There's no left, there's no right, in the middle we sleep. Rain, 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 rain.
Go subscribe to Ren if you haven't yet. You're probably here because you're a fan of Ren, but if you aren't, this guy has some things to say, and I suggest that we all listen.
This isn't recent Ren. This is like quite a while ago Ren. And I had wondered how much he had like progressed to get to the point that he is at now. But at this, there are growth points that I can point out in this, but it's not necessarily his lyrical prowess or his ability to take complex concepts and portray them to you in a rhyming lyrical rap that is so fast you almost have to put it on half speed to perceive it all. He's grown in like production value, like the noise that's going on in the silence doesn't exist in his more modern songs. But there were so many good lines. The lines about the colonizing, and then the things about the Jews and the Muslims, particularly relevant, again, right now, with the conflict going on in Israel and Gaza.
So, yeah. Okay, first of all, before I get into the lyrics, I want to talk about his use of props and some of his emotional stuff. He just comes at this like totally like psycho, like touching this other guy, like touching his face. You know, in real life,
smack with the gloves.
Yeah, in real life, people hate that. You know, like that just like reeks of crazy. You know, when you're like touching somebody's face and like all this stuff, and then yeah, you just like smacks him with the gloves and he like gets back to it. You know, it's
actually the way whoever is playing the guitar there portrayed that when he got slapped by the glove, I'm not sure if that was if he knew that was coming or not. If he knew it was coming, he did a good job acting shocked.
It's like, oh yes sir, you know.
Yeah.
And then he takes this bat, runs it along the thing. Of course, like he has these, and this was blended so perfectly, it almost sounded like they weren't disparate things. When he was doing the vocals, but you don't see his face, over the guitar chords. And it just sounded so like connected together, like that it was almost a single instrument. And I was like, holy cow, that's really good. But he takes the bat, right? And then he's using it as a percussion instrument to go with the song.
Yeah.
And that is such a unique use of tools to create instruments. It's kind of like Stomp. You know the band Stomp?
Mm-hmm. Or Blue Man Group.
Or Blue Man Group, right? Like
yeah.
Just using all these other things and doing that here where it's not just, here's a cool thing, I can hit the floor with a broom and a trash can lid. It's like, it has an element of violence to it. It has an element of control and a little bit of crazy.
Tyranny.
Yes, tyranny, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's the big stick, right? And so that use is so good. And he's so good at that, incorporating so many other things besides just the singing and the instruments. But then, yes, his lyrics where he's talking about how, like, freedom, and we're using it as an excuse to hate or to do wrong to other people or to like, think of like some kind of moral superiority and treating other people badly, and then we're like dogging on all these immigrants and stuff like that. And it's like,
well, and then the way that the Western world will destroy its own tenets that it's set forward. It will take, say war crimes and just commit them ad nauseum, and then act like it's not happening and get mad at other people when they're doing it. And it's so hypocritical.
right.
Something that frustrates me greatly. But yet the world lets them get away with it because they're the good guys, I guess.
Right. And that's the thing, right? Is like with freedom, Like freedom is good because freedom does allow us to have so many things, right? But with that does come the opportunity, right, to do bad things, to hurt other people, and to be cruel and mean and unkind. And so like with our freedom, and I think this is a message he's really trying to say, is like with our freedom, whatever like capacity that happens to be in, it's different in different regions, right? We shouldn't use that as an excuse to like be cruel to others. We should use that as an excuse to like use our creativity to lift others and to like build our societies. Like my grandmother moved to the United States from Norway, right? And then like all my other ancestors came from like moved to the United States from other countries in Europe, and so it's like, yes, like we're all from somewhere and somewhere. And even like you said, even Britain was not just like, we've been the British forever. It's like, yeah, there was the Angles and the Saxons, and then they became Anglo-Saxons. There was the Battle of Normandy, and like all these different things that changed the landscape. And this is everywhere. Like everywhere has a constantly changing landscape if we look at it from like a long historical period, right? So people think, I was talking with my kids actually about like genetic differences and things like that. And it's like, but even within these like contexts that we think of as these like long-standing genetics, when you get those tests and they're like, you're 20% Irish and 40% Nigerian or whatever.
Yeah.
There's so much change in there, on a somewhat smaller, like closer scale, that there is no like pure blood thing. It's like we have these like adaptations and like adaptive changes and things that like manifest in our phenotypes, but essentially like those are like fairly minor when we're talking about the whole context of just humanity and kind of the moral philosophical sphere where we all sit there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I really like how he gets there with that. He talks about that in a way that is just like, look, here's what we're doing. Here's this, here's that. And you can see it. And it's really clear and simple. And I think that his clarity and his simplicity is one of his greatest tools in his music, because he can just like tell you how it is. And you're like, yeah. I mean, there's no fancy way to talk around that. That is what it is.
Yeah.
And he nails it.
Yeah. I mean, going back to when he was talking about freedom, I mean, essentially what he's saying is that freedom is a tool, not that freedom is an excuse.
Yes.
Because a lot of people use freedom as an excuse. And freedom is a tool. It can be used for great good or great evil. It's like a hammer. You can use it to build a house, or you can use it to kill a person. In fact, it kills more people than guns do, even in the U.S. It is a powerful weapon.
More than rifles
as well as
do.
a powerful tool.
Kills more people than rifles do.
More than rifles?
Yeah. More than AR-15s. Not more than guns. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Sorry, we did a podcast back, and we actually like went through the FBI statistics, and I'm pretty sure like hammers was more than AR-15s, but not more than guns in general.
Not more than handguns. Handguns are a lot more than AR-15s.
I think, and hammers. I don't know. I don't kill people with hammers. I think it's rude.
It is rude.
It is rude.
A storm it comes our way, and those who rise through distorted lies, poison in the veins, but we'd like to point the blame. It's easier to blame, but point the mirror at ourselves. We're all part of this whole money game. This old money game.
I'm sensing a pattern in the ending of his Money Game videos.
Dude. Man, there's nobody on earth like Ren. Or maybe I live under a rock, as many of you who watch our videos are apt to tell us. I really like what he did there. There was this kind of message here about sight awareness, right? And pointing blame and direction. And it was reminiscent of that Michael Jackson song, Man in the Mirror.
Man in the Mirror,
Yeah. And you don't see what he's doing at first when he like gets up all on the guy and he's like messing with him. And then you see after, he had drawn eyes on him. And I don't know, I take that in like a few different ways. One of them is like telling the other person like, hey, you need to open your eyes and you need to see and fix yourself. Right? Like the concept of like, you know, trying to cast out the beam or the speck in someone else's eye when you have a beam in your own eye. That's like one way I take that. Another way I take that is like that we have this illusion of awareness. Like we think that we see what's going on. We think that we understand. And we're told like, no, you can see it. You can see it all fine. Look, you have eyes. Like you have eyes. You can see it. But really like we still have that mask pulled over our faces and things are obscured. And then when he goes to like, basically like light him on fire, he's like, I think that points back to the first one where it's like, I'm going to fix you. I'm going to do this to you. And he's like, no, wait. Little reflection, man in the mirror. I'm the problem. But I don't know. There may be some more things to this, and maybe if I watch this like 4 or 5 times, I might have something else. But dude, he's so good at just like eliciting feelings through his music, not just trying to say something.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah, the way he ended that, where it was a very distinct, I'm going to end you, and seemed to come to a realization, very much like at the end of Money Game Part 3, where, wait, I have been the destruction. I have been the cancer on the world. I don't need to get rid of him. I need to get rid of me. And that's a self-destructive in obvious and not obvious ways. But that recognizing issues in yourself and correcting them earlier on before you get to the point of thinking, it'd be better off if I just weren't here, I think is pretty valuable. Not getting to the point where it's like, oh no, I am good, therefore anything I do is good. If I pour gasoline on this person and light him up, it's for the greater good. In the case of the West, if I bomb these children in other countries, it's for the good of the world. It's okay. I'm helping. When a step back, recognizing that, wait, before you do what you think was good for the sake of the world, before you do any of that, how about you step back and say, is it ever good to be bombing children in another nation? Is it ever good to be pouring gasoline on someone and lighting them on fire? No, probably not.
right. So actually, I had like just a bit of an epiphany here. Perhaps, and I'm going to just take it this way, but here's my analysis. I'm going to say that Ren is portraying the inner voice or that destructive belief. And the person in the mask is portraying the self. And it's this destructive belief that's coming in and saying like, nah, like, look, you got eyes or see or whatever, you know, like this is good enough for awareness. And it's that destructive voice that says, hey, you should destroy yourself. You're part of the problem. If you can't do it all right, then do it all wrong. And then it changes and it says, nah, I need to destroy that belief, not destroy my humanity, not destroy my life. And I think that rather than, like you're saying, it's not like, you're all good or you're all bad. It's like, no, what is that thing that speaks to us? What is that belief that drives us in a wrong way and takes us to harm other people, to bomb kids in another country or to rob so that we can, like, you know, have a little something, right? And find that and isolate that and see that that is not only something that we can eliminate, but something that is self-destructive in a way. And as it's a part of us, it destroys us. But when we can separate it, those ideas don't stand on their own. It's exactly like you said. Like when you ask questions and you like bring awareness and logic into it, you say like, when is it okay to like bomb kids? When is it okay to do these things? When is it okay to like light someone on fire? It's like, it's not. And I don't have a whole lot of situations where I'm like, oh yeah, good idea. Let's do that. Plan it. Thursday, 6 o'clock looks good. No, it doesn't work like that. So when you challenge these things with reason, they can't help but burn themselves away. So, reason, man.
I like that interpretation.
I like it too. I just found it. It was epiphany. It's probably what he gave me. He's an artist, man. Ren is an artist. And like one of the best of our time and all time. I will say that. He is one of the best artists of all time. Incredible. Incredible, man.
I love his bardic style.
Yeah. Guys, we are going to do a part two, the part two for this. So we're going to link this one to the part two when the part two comes out, which will be linked to the part three. We haven't reacted to part two yet, but it is coming soon. So subscribe and stay tuned. I mean, you have to stay tuned. You can come back in like a couple days. That's fine too. But we will see you over there. Man, Ren is amazing.
Yeah, he is.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he is.